Before I start anything in this review, I gotta pay respects to the first fragrance that utilized coffee in a fragrance. That's damn good coffee. Hey YouTube fragrance family, welcome to another Robes08 Fragrance review. Today is on the house of L'Artisan Parfumeur and the scent called L'eau du Navigateur. Let's get to it. L'eau du Navigateur hit the shelves in 1982. Bottle sizes are the standard 1.7 and 3.4 ounce bottle. The one you see here is the 3.4 ounce. Concentration is eau de toilette. It is a discontinued fragrance from L'Artisan Parfumeur, and currently online I just wanted to see in regards to pricing. I went on eBay and the only bottle I could find was a tester for $160. So I'm pretty happy I bought my bottle for only $40 back in the day. So that's what discontinuation does to a fragrance, as you can see, as the price is super inflated at the moment online. Now, looking at presentation, L'Artisan Parfumeur has gone through quite a transformation in the past several years in regards to their bottle and box. So it may not look exactly what I have here, but let's take a look at what I have. So it says L'eau du Navigateur here. That is actually a sticker, and this is a standard box. There's a little bit of an explanation of the actual fragrance right there. L'Artisan Parfumeur logo on the side here. Whole bunch of writing in the back here, ingredient lists, etc. And then some information at the bottom. Now let's take a look at the bottle a little closer. Now looking at the bottle, I love this generation of this presentation for L'Artisan fragrances. I just love the simplistic manner of them. You got the sticker here. You got the L'Artisan logo at the top of the cap here. You got your batch code at the bottom of the bottle, and that's it. It does have L'Artisan Parfumeur etched right here in the glass, as you can see here, L'Artisan Parfumeur Paris. If I take the cap off, the cap itself has a little bit of plastic liner inside of it. Very heavy cap, actually. The atomizers are decent. As you can see here, pretty straightforward atomizer from L'Artisan Parfumeur. The noses behind this fragrance, on one end, we got the founder of L'Artisan Parfumeur, Ellena Laporte. On the other end, we got my favorite parfumier of all time, Monsieur Jean-Claude Ellena. So Jean-Claude Ellena, Jean-François Laporte, two Hall of Famers in our game. I'd be here all day naming the classics they have released over their careers. So I'm going to stop it there. Now looking at the note breakdown, the introduction, we have spices, rum, and myrrh. Now there's no easing into this fragrance. We're starting off deep, dark, and dangerous. So very dark notes to start off the fragrance. In the mid we got coffee, florals, resins, and leather. And in the base we got woody notes, incense, tobacco, and cedar. So the note breakdown is sexy as hell. And you're going to see the note breakdown looks a little sexier than what you get on your skin. So the major notes to my nose: leather, spices, woods, florals, and the rum. Now, group, this is a woody, spicy fragrance. How many sprays and where? Let's go to my application. For my application, I go fairly simple. I'm going to do my standard 1 on the chest, 2 on the neck. That's it. Boom, boom, fini. I'm done. 3 sprays, I'm good to go. If I am going to go outside and I'm going to stay outside, I'm going to do another double hit. I'm going to hit me up right here, and then I'm good to go. Now let's dissect this set a little bit. I'm just going to remind myself of the introduction here, and give you guys some sort of, you know what, I'm going to give you guys some sort of imagery here. I'm not very good at those kind of imageries, but we'll see what I come up with. So, L'eau du Navigateur, what do I smell when I smell this? It smells like a really old school, like a really old time. Go back in the day, a sailor. This sailor is shipping various spices from India. You smell prominent cumin, caraway. You smell the wooden deck. It's a little splash of rum. And now we all know that, you know, sailors may have a little more of a splash of rum. It'd be more of a prominent rum note. In this fragrance, we're going to talk about just a little splash. The sailor's smoking a cigar because there's a tobacco note in this fragrance. Obviously wearing worn leather boots, we'll say. For some reason, there's soaps and florals being shipped too. So it's really close to the background to this sailor. Also in the background, we got some coffee beans and incense sticks also being shipped. And those are deeper into the background of this imagery, we'll say. So that's your imagery of L'eau du Navigateur. Now, what does it smell like? Well, pretty straightforward. That's exactly what I thought about it. I just felt like an old school sailor kind of shipping spices, because spice is a huge factor in this fragrance. And florals too. And it's weird because coffee's huge in this as far as reviews go, and a lot of people talk about woods and things like that, but I felt it was more of a spicy, and the use of spices is Jean-Claude Ellena's forte, man. He puts it in a fragrance, and this is an early Jean-Claude Ellena. He puts it in you know, like Bigarade Concentré has the spice Déclaration. He just kind of throws you off guard a little bit with the spice. So I see a lot of Jean-Claude Ellena in this fragrance. So off the top of L'eau du Navigateur, there's, again, like I said, there's no real process to ease into this fragrance. It hits you right away. It tells you that it's going to be a dark fragrance right off the spot. I can spot some spices, some leather, some rum off the top. But you know what catches my nose? The subtle undertones of this scent, which are what? The florals. The florals here, man, those little buggers, they stayed the whole way of this scent. They're subtle undertones, but they really stay there. They have a uplifting soapy feel. It gives a cleanness to the fragrance, even though there's a lot of rough and tumble notes here. And there's a floral aspect, obviously, to this scent too. And it continues to power through from point A to point Z. Some people that smelt this off me, that's all they smelt. And there's some heavy spices in here. There's some woods. There's some rum. This is not, you know, some little notes here and there. These are big boy notes. And I can tell because when I'm testing this fragrance, like even right now, like that floral undertone with the soapiness really is grasping my nose and kind of bringing me away from the darker notes. It really was an interesting journey with this fragrance. It really was. It almost takes all the daring notes and puts them at bay, basically. It's almost like all those tough notes are sitting on a bed of florals and waiting to explode, which they actually never do in this fragrance. They continue that pace of being up front and center, but never overpowering. It just feels like they were just there, restrained by the florals and that soapiness, and they really did not jump out of the box, we'll say. Now the coffee is a huge portion of this fragrance. You know, it's well known that this is the first fragrance to utilize coffee in the fragrance. So the coffee is also pretty much subtle in this fragrance. I wouldn't really say that this is a coffee-based scent. It doesn't really show its face that much. It was only really a dab in the early introduction of the fragrance. Even though this was the start of utilizing coffee in a scent, most of the modern takes on coffee are surrounded by either patchouli, gourmand sweet notes. This time it was surrounded by something a little different, spicy, woody, leathery notes that truly kind of overpower this coffee note. It really is hard to pinpoint. The coffee is very short-lived, maybe even missed by the user, since there's so much going on in this introduction. The coffee itself actually smells like dry coffee beans to my nose. That's what I got from the coffee in this fragrance. The leather note in L'eau du Navigateur is, contrary to Fragrantica, I felt was the most prominent note in this one. The use of leather in this fragrance really did remind me of the leather in Bel Ami. Now, these fragrances, I'm not comparing these. Don't put those words in my mouth. They do not smell alike. This thing will crush this thing. I have Bel Ami right now in my hand, and I have this on this hand. This is running on fumes right now. Bel Ami is running a train right now. It is killing my nose. Bel Ami's leather is bold, beautiful. It's huge. Kind of tone that down tenfold. It's the same leather in here. It's really a muted leather in this fragrance, but it really is the same kind of use. It's not that smoky. It's more of a musty or more of a worn leather. It's paired with a mossy green herbal spice, which makes the darker notes in the scent feel kind of old and kind of roughed up. It really kind of smells like aged leather, aged tobacco, and the woods in here kind of smell aged. And it really just brings you to that, old sailor. He's been around, his boots are worn, the ship's worn, things like that. The boozy rum in this fragrance, very minimal also. There's only like a small little splash in this fragrance. It's not that boozy. I wouldn't even call this fragrance that boozy. It's more about the spices and the florals than anything. The tobacco note is not smoky either, slightly sweet pipe tobacco. Once this dries down, I start smelling some cumin-like spice, and this is where really this fragrance takes hold of you. It really is showing its true colors. I kind of started laughing when I smelled that, because in the note breakdown of this fragrance, anywhere you go online, it does not say which spices is used, but I started laughing and I was like, Ellena, you crazy bugger, you've been using cumin since the 80s? What the hell are you doing? Yeah, it just light bulb right away, and I'm like, oh, that's so Ellena. So there is cumin in here. It's not big, bold, and punching. It's just like Ellena orders every single time in his fragrances. It just is there just to say, hi, I'm a Jean-Claude Ellena fragrance. It really just made me laugh. The cumin and the other spices are a major piece of this fragrance. However, they're also very subtle. This fragrance, even though built very dark, really is a subtle fragrance. The notes really don't jump out at you. And already, like putting it on my skin here, it doesn't jump out that much. And L'Artisan Parfumeur fragrances are known to not be very, Timbuktu. Timbuktu is a fragrance that really used really dark notes too, like incense, obviously. And De Chauffeur made that fragrance. And Timbuktu really isn't that big and bold either. It's very much toned down, and it just feels like it is definitely 100% a L'Artisan fragrance. So moving back to this, the major players, once this dries down, cumin, some spices, some incense, some woods, but mostly a nice leather. The spices and leather bring me again to Bel Ami by Hermes, because it just uses spices and leather too. The leather in this fragrance, again, like I said earlier, doesn't have that much bite as Bel Ami's. Even the spices in this fragrance, the spices in Bel Ami's have a bite to it. This one, they really don't have that kind of bite. I would say it's more like a flicker, a little kick to the fragrance. It just gives it a little bit of an attitude. That's about it. Finally, into the deep dry down, I get some woods that actually complete the whole imagery of this fragrance. I thought personally that some heavier woods would have truly made this scent great if it came actually a little sooner in the fragrance. The florals continue to back the scent, never taking the spotlight, however keeping the scent from going too dark. This is really a part of the fragrance that really impressed me, is the florals just keeping steady. They were just there all day, every day, and it didn't matter if it was the first 5 minutes of the fragrance till the end of the fragrance. When I was talking to people, that was the steady thing coming back to me, and I was so, and I'm smelling the same thing they're smelling. I am smelling the florals and things like that, and I know those heavy, darker notes. It's just the use of these heavier notes. I was really surprised that nobody could really pinpoint these notes. It was really interesting. The note breakdown as a whole looks a lot better on paper than it actually smells on the skin. And I feel like it's well composed, so I'm going to give it props for that. We got 2 Hall of Famers composing this scent. It's not all bad, but I think it missed the boat, and I could not ignore that this fragrance isn't really a great seller for the brand lately, and that's why it kind of got axed. Overall, L'eau du Navigateur has all the makings of a great masculine. This one gets that famous dated tag on it since it's made in the early 80s. I feel it was groundbreaking back then and could still be relevant today. I still feel like this could be worn by 30 and over type of fragrance heads. What I truly appreciated from this fragrance is it was one of Ellena's earliest work. So I was really interested in delving in this fragrance, and I really wanted to see, because I've dissected a lot of his fragrances, that are much more modern. So I really wanted to see where it all started. It really brought back some memories from Jean-Claude Ellena. It really brings me to, big punching notes like coffee, leather, tobacco, woods, and rum. They're all very subtle in this fragrance. They really do play their part, but they're very subtle. The spices utilized, mostly cumin, are a signature in his more modern sense, which, while testing this one, kind of made me chuckle. And when I discovered it, it was really, because it's not in the note breakdown, I was just like, typical Ellena, throwing in that cumin just to get your attention. Really interesting. Overall, a fragrance that, it's discontinued now. I don't think would be something personally that I would highly recommend for all of you to go and search in. Now, the recommended age, I would recommend this for more of a mature man. It would be 30 and up, to be quite honest with this one. I just feel like this one would fit into an older gentleman. Reminds people of what? Eau des Îles by Maître Parfumeur et Gantier. Obviously, that's Laporte's new old brand. Laporte left L'Artisan Parfumeur long time ago and started Maître Parfumeur et Gantier, which Eau des Îles technically is almost a clone of this. He just kind of said, okay, well, I'm going to leave you guys, but I'm going to take my recipes with me. That's kind of how this came about. It does remind me a little bit of Bel Ami. It takes a page out of it. Awards on my channel. No, it hasn't won anything on my channel. Best time to wear this fragrance. This is a cooler month kind of wearing type of fragrance. Evenings, seasons, mostly fall, spring, winter too, but for the winter, this one's very subtle, so it really doesn't push much. Development, is it linear, average, or complex? This would be more of an average development. Work appropriate? No, not really. I don't think this type of fragrance would be something I'd wear to work. Signature scent worthy? Could be for an older gentleman, in my personal opinion. However, now that it's discontinued, I really would go against that grain because it's going to be harder and harder to find. So I don't think this would be a good choice for a new signature scent. Why would you hate it? Things like the spices in here, the cumin. People call it dated. It's very dry fragrance. It's discontinued. It's going to be pricey now. So those are things that you have to look into. Why would you love it? Fans of Ellena's, more modern work would really love to just smell this fragrance. I think you would enjoy it as much as I did. I just felt like this was, an interesting journey for me. If you like leathery and spice notes together, case in point, like a Bel Ami, it doesn't have the powerhouse feel of Bel Ami. I'll tell you this right now, it's very, very subtle fragrance. It really is a unique fragrance. Let's get into the rating system. Projection, 4 bottles out of 10. This is something that really didn't jump off my skin. I would say soft to mid like projection. Very much something that doesn't jump off the skin. So 4 out of 10. Longevity, 7 bottles out of 10. In regards to projection, yeah, it doesn't jump off my skin, but it does stay on my skin for a good amount of time. It does do 6 to 8 hours any given wearing, which is pretty good for longevity. Compliment factor, hell no. 2 bottles out of 10. Nope, not even close as far as compliment factor. There is absolutely no compliment factor here. I got nothing as far as wearings go. Very uniqueness, it gets these 6 bottles out of 10. Obviously, if I reviewed this back in 82, that number would be much higher. It would have been way more unique when it was first released to this day and age. Pricing versus what you get, I have to take a look. It's a discontinued fragrance. I looked online just to see what the pricing was. I'm going to give it 3 bottles out of 10. At the price it's going for now that I'm looking around, it's not worth it. I really think that this is a fragrance that really, if you feel like this is interesting, you'd almost have to keep looking and looking and looking. And if you can find it for $60, $70 and under for a bottle, maybe a half bottle, something like that, that's when you jump on it. I don't really recommend to get yourself a bottle of this on eBay for $150+. I just don't see the value there. Versatility, 3 bottles out of 10. I really don't think this is a versatile fragrance. It's cold weather only. It doesn't really excel in the winter, so it's more of a fall cold spring night type of scent. Smell, I'm going to give it an 8. Obviously, we got 2 Hall of Famer noses. Smell is something that is very high on the list. It is a solid constructed scent. It is something that the florals it was very unique use of florals, really very unique. And again, like I said, the note breakdown looks a lot sexier than what you get on your skin. But overall, as a scent, really well composed. Overall, L'eau du Navigateur will get 7 bottles out of 10. I think it is an above average release from L'Artisan Parfumeur. I really think it's a good scent, and there's nothing really that bad about it. I can see why it was discontinued. So there is some good with the bad. However, I really feel like this is something that's not, if you're thinking L'Artisan Parfumeur and some of their standouts, this is not something that I'd be talking about. So 7 bottles out of 10. And that goes to buy, try, or pass. This, looking at all the factors, I would have to say this is a pass. The main reason, discontinuation, pricing, all those things do have to come into play. And also, Laporte released, he took his recipes with him to MPG and kind of made a fragrance that smells like this, which is Eau des Îles, which is still in production, and you can get that for much cheaper. So for that case, this is a pass, and might as well, if you feel like this is interesting, get a sample of Eau des Îles, smell it, and then you can purchase that one. So that's my review on L'eau du Navigateur, a discontinued fragrance from L'Artisan Parfumeur. And that's where you guys come in the comments below. Please comment below. Let us know if you smelt this fragrance, good, bad, and the ugly. Let us know in the comments below what you think of L'eau du Navigateur. Thank you for watching. Have a good one.